Jesus, Sons of Thunder show was on the air again. TC and AB's gonna play your favorite jams. Keep listening. Radio 1000, praising this station in all of the land. Music that glorifies the Lamb. Don't let the trials of this life bound you and hold you down for long. Turn on your radio, the Sons of Thunder's playing your favorite song. So put your praise on now, don't worry about your work, get out, 'cause it's all a part of this plan. Jam it for Jesus, 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 jam it for God, Jesus across the land. It's all a part of this man. Jam it for Jesus, jam it for God, Jesus across the land. It's all a part of this man. Jam it for Jesus, jam it for God, Jesus across the land. It's all a part of this man.
And you got locked up right here on the family station where we're taking the limits off. It's WOGS 103.9. TC here with you of Jamming for Jesus, Sons of Thunder. JFJ Live Talk Radio's Basic Foundation Show is coming back at you, man. And I'm telling you tonight, y'all, we're going to get into some frustrations. I got to talk about some frustrations in the industry. I'll get off my chest as far as what some of the artists are doing as well. Not to bash the artists, but to help them as well, of course. And we definitely want to be a help and not a hindrance to anyone with the Basic Foundation Show. So I want to say welcome to the Basic Foundation Show. If this is your first time listening, we are giving out a plethora of information for free. So a lot of artists out there that can probably help you go to the next dimension in your ministry, as well as, music in general, as far as the industry goes as well. So we definitely want to be a help to you. I have two gentlemen on the line here that's been in the industry for quite a while. Now, the reason why I invited them on, of course, is I want them to share some wealth of knowledge to each and every one of you. And, of course, if you want to call in, the number to call is area code 712-432-0075. Again, that's 712-432-0075. Access code is 885-995. I say it again for you, 885-995. First gentleman I want to introduce is a real good friend of mine. He's an award-winning, I just want to say, media mogul as well out here. He has 3HP Records. And, man, he's just been doing it big for the kingdom out here. And I want to introduce to some and present to others, none other than Troy Edwards. Good evening, sir. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Brother TC?
Man, we in the house praising the Lord, doing what we do.
Amen.
I know that's right. Now, the next gentleman I have as well. What can I say about this brother right here? This brother, he just persisted. He has pushed it media. He has a plethora of other things going on as well. He's been in the industry for quite a while as well. And I definitely want to introduce to some and present to others, Mr. Bruce Knight. Good evening, sir. How you doing?
Good evening, TC. Thanks for having me on the program this evening. It's a blessing to be here and to share the wealth of knowledge and information with those that are interested. It gives me a great pleasure to do so.
I appreciate that. That's good stuff. Now, I have the original host of the show. I like to bring her on as well. And we founded it, but she's been the host of it, and she's been away for a while. But I'm glad that she's back. And I want to introduce to the world and welcome her back, two-time Stellar Award nominee Terry Carroll. Let me get her on the line here. Terry, how you doing?
I'm good. How y'all doing tonight?
Wonderful. How about yourself?
Doing just well. Glad to be here.
Amen.
Glad to have y'all on the show.
Yes. I'm glad to be here. I got to be there on the line.
You what?
I said I got to be good because you on the line now.
Oh, you weren't gonna be good anyway.
Wow.
All right.
Well, you know what?
Watch out now.
You know, I got some questions to ask because I'm looking at the industry, man. It's changed tremendously as we've known it, as far as, the old school way of doing it. Back in the day, you can go to the radio station, man, and present your album to a DJ, man, and get airplay, and it becomes a hit overnight, you know what I'm saying? And now, with the digital media that's going on, Troy, I'm going to start with you, man. I'm just going to start out with it, man. As being a record label owner, is it very frustrating to have artists, get out there in the industry now?
Yes, I think so. Because first of all, like you were saying back in the day, I believe there's a lot of artists that's not hungry like they used to be, like you were talking about. Like I watch Unsung a lot, and just to see where all these artists, just watching, just see how all these artists have built their careers, they stuck with it, with groups and stuff. They believe in what they believe and what they was called to do, and it was passionate. It took 10, 14 years for some of these major groups to get on, and then I feel like in the gospel industry, if the artists don't get that blaze within a certain kind of weeks or months, they're ready to give in. So I think the whole industry in the gospel industry really needs to change on certain matters when it comes to being an artist and how things need to take place.
Bruce, you want to add to that?
Well, I mean, again, it's not an overnight thing as some people think. And for those people that are looking for that may need to find something else to do. Because, again, it requires a lot of tenacity and consistency in terms of building a brand to the point where it becomes recognized as some of these household names have become. And you're really in competition with some of these established artists who may have mainstream label support behind them. And as an independent artist, there were days where back in the day you could send a song or two to the record label and they like it enough to send you a check and say, finish the CD. Now, all of that is upon the artist, and they become the record label, they become, the manufacturer, and they become a lot of things, but it requires, and what the record label had in most cases back then was a team. And to be able to have a team today requires more than just a radio promotion person. It requires somebody to do some PR. It requires somebody to do some booking. It requires a lot of things that help to make a team effort to be able to build a foundation and establish a music ministry to the point where even if it's region by region or city by city, some people want to take the country by storm and think that with a couple $100, they can do that. But to me, it's a lot more of an effort on the part of the artist to really be able to invest in themselves and have a team to support that process so that they can become more recognized and establish their brand.
Wow, you said something that was interesting, establishing their brand. What do you mean by that, sir?
Well, branding is something that hasn't always been an obvious component for individuals to make an effort at. But if you say Nike, everybody knows what you're talking about. And so if you say Kellogg's, everybody knows what you're talking about. But in terms of establishing the brand, it's being able to be identifiable in a way within which people can come to know when they hear that name who and what that name is making reference to. And in a lot of cases, branding is the thing to do, that requires, again, some teamwork in order to establish that, but then you've got to have some presence to do that. I mean, before you can maybe just take the record to radio, but now you've got the Internet. You got to have a Facebook page. You got to have a Twitter page. You got to have things that can make reference to that individual, which is a part of the branding, as to who you are and what you represent. I mean, back in the day, back in the Cowboys' day, branding was taking that fire iron and teaming it and putting an insignia on your hide, to identify who you were.
Right.
It's the same process. It's just a little differently done.
I hear you. I know that's right. Terry, you got anything you want to add to that, man?
Yeah,
Well, now, I'm just actually in agreement with the things that they're saying. I always get people all the time, wanting to ask me for advice about the industry, and this is one of the things I agree with both. What they're saying is because, many artists are just not doing the homework piece, just wanting to call one person and want you to explain, your 30 years of research and blood, sweat, and tears that you've been doing, however long you've been in the industry, to them in like a night. So it's just the shortcut mentality that I think that the artists really need to get out of and get into the mindset of this is a business. You do have to study it like any other thing that you want to do. As I always like to say, they're not going to let you practice medicine if you don't have an MD. They're not going to let you try a case in court if you don't have a law degree. But anybody who got a voice thinks that they can just do the music industry. And I think the whole mindset needs to be that this is a legitimate business that you need to give the respect to and learn it if you're going to do it. Having the talent is the beginning, and there's much more to do beyond that.
That's good stuff. Well, Troy, what you about to say, sir?
I think there's some folks that like to sing.
Mm-hmm.
There's other folks that have perfected their liking, to the point where it's more than just a hobby, but they've learned how to sing. And you got folks that go in the studio and sing a song, or grandma told them that sounds good, or mama, daddy, cousins, brother, sister, whoever. And it when it comes and they press up X number of hundreds of records and go to the radio station and want to know why they won't play it.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
But there's a way to sing, and without some kind of lessons or understanding of singing from the diaphragm as opposed to the throat, or those kinds of things will make for a good production, in terms of vocal, in terms of musical arrangement, to the point where at the end of the day, whatever their presentation song is, radio's going to want to embrace it because they put enough into it to where the quality of the production is at a level within which they want to play it. I've had some records that come by me to the point where I had to encourage people to play. It wasn't something that naturally, because of my relationships with them, I say, please, just give it a try. I'm from the old school in the sense where if it at least sounds good, give it. There's a willingness to give it a chance to play it and let the people decide. That's kind of where I would prefer. But now you got some of those music directors that have become A&R directors to the point where if they don't like it, they won't give people a chance to even hear it.
Wow.
So at least the production and the quality and the level of the recording has to have some kind of commercial appeal, to the point where there's a desire to want to hear the song.
Well, I have a question for you, gentlemen, and either both of you all can chime in on, what your opinion about it is. But, since it's so accessible for people to be able to make records now, home Pro Tools studios, project studios made it just accessible for everybody to be able to make CDs, and they're very affordable. What impact do you think that that's had on more serious artists and more serious musicians as far as the market? The market is really glutted with a lot of under par stuff, and so you have the consumer that have so much to choose from. So how do you think that that's impacted the more serious artists? How do they have an opportunity to get the actual good work out among all of the stuff that's just being put out by more amateur type people?
Troy, you want to take that? And I'll back you up.
I think one of it is a lot of these, I don't like most of these labels, everybody has a label now. And I tell people I don't approve of labels because I think it's something, of course, in the Christian market, something that you're called to do. And if you're not able to provide services to your artists or branding, I don't think that people should be able to have the tools or even start a label, because I look at this in the Christian market is when an artist come to you and you sign them, they're giving you, they're handing over their ministry into your hands and entrusting you to take their ministry where they could take it. And most people just come together and just and just do music and run in a circle and they get frustrated and wonder why the music don't get out there. So I think more people are so attracted or started their own label because they've been hurt by labels or they can't get a deal. They start their own thing, and then when they go out into the market and try to push what they have, and it doesn't go anywhere because we all know everything is about people who you know, and word of mouth and money. So if labels usually don't have that, they really can't provide anything for an artist. So I just encourage artists to, more artists are staying more independent now because they see the more the benefits is. If a label can't take you where you need to be and where you need to go, is one or two things. It's not the label for you, or your talent is not where it should be. And most of these people, these artists, they get frustrated because a lot of churches don't tell the artist the truth. They think when they tell the artist they're the best thing in the world and the best thing out there, they go out there on these major stages and get hurt. So you basically have to go to professionals and see where you was, and then, quote unquote, that's when the artists need to do their homework because they don't want to go to these conferences and to be taught. And I tell people, all great teachers always remain students because if you remain a student, you're always willing to learn. But if you have a teacher who thinks they know everything, they can't catch up on time because what the industry is, what you learn today is outdated tomorrow. What the gospel industry do, what you learn today, we keep it for 5 years. So I think to keep music moving, we have to involve with the times because our kids 10 years from now don't want to listen to Kirk Franklin, Donnie McClurkin, and all that kind of stuff. So I think artists need to do their homework, dissect the industry, watch all these oldies, how they came up, because a lot of them have religious background, not to go the path that they do. Watch the heart and soul, how they believe into their music, because we can learn a whole lot. And with being a Christian, we're supposed to work of excellence. If you work in excellence, then we can go somewhere. And then if we get the service providers to do their jobs and the artists do their jobs, I think we can make more impact in the gospel industry.
That's good stuff.
You said a lot there, brother. But I think in listening to today's radio, there's some stations that kind of pre-program the music that people hear. And there's a couple of stations in particular that may not play as much of the traditional music. May not play any quartet music. May not play any choir music for whatever reason. I think in terms of where Troy was going, there should be a willingness on the part of the artist to be teachable. Mm-hmm. There's some things to be learned. Even though you may know what you know, or maybe you learn some things, from your church experience, or being in the choir, or being, in the band, or what have you. But there's a lot more to that, and being able to be teachable is something that, for those who don't know what they need to know, I kind of am sensitive to where Troy was going. You have to be able to be teachable, and for those of us that have the wisdom and the knowledge, each one teach one. But it does come, with an understanding that if one invests their time and knowledge and wisdom to help you to understand what you do to allow you to do it better, that's the kind of artist that will become more of an established artist in time. But you have to want to learn and to be able to be taught so that you can get the understanding that will allow you to have a foundation to be able to build a music ministry that will be able to support your future releases, and being able to be in or have some group of people. Again, there are music conferences that take place. Last week there was one even in Philadelphia that some people have to travel a few miles to go to. But when you got there, you had a Fred Hammond who has been with a major label.
Yes.
Who has decided that maybe that wasn't so much the way to go after he's had multiple releases. And being an independent artist, there's a certain ability to retain some control over your music ministry, to be able to retain the ownership of your masters, for example. Some people will take a a record contract or a record deal, looking for a record deal, which is most of what everybody wants. But what kind of sacrifice do you obligate yourself to in doing so? People that, for the big labels that are able in a position to offer people money, which is unreasonable, something to offer, but not knowing that this is really a loan. And if you get enough, some people want a signing bonus. That doesn't happen a lot on the gospel side, but on the urban side, it happens a lot. But if they offer you a few $100,000 or, whatever the amount may be, they're going to recoup that money somewhere along the line in sales, which is something that they don't really take in consideration. Too often there are artists who really don't have finances to really do what needs to be done, and so that sounds like an appealing situation. But in the long run, you'll end up paying that back and then some, or may have to sacrifice your master in the process, or a portion of your publishing, if not all of it. There's a contest currently on by a well-known preacher who's had success currently. He's an awesome kind of cat, pardon the pun, but he's offering a contest where independent artists can submit their songs for a record deal. But if you read the agreement, it says that you give up all of the publishing of the song that you created to be on this, to get this to be a part of this contest.
Right.
And to me, that does a disservice for the artist. I'm working with a cat by the name of Moses Tyson Jr., old school organ player, but he has shared with me how over the course of his career has been able to control or to retain control over his masters. And if you have to give the masters up for a period of time, there's something called licensing, within which you can give them authority to release a project, but make it for a couple of years, not for the lifetime, of the record. But those are just things that are learned in the course of and too often have become mistakes to the point where the sacrifice is far greater than the artist needed to make if they had only had somebody willing to or able to share the wisdom and knowledge of what to do or what not to do in signing some of these contracts that people make offers to them.
Good stuff. Well, if you just tuned in, you tuned in to the Basic Foundation Show. It's going down today with Troy Edwards of 3HP Records, along with the Bruce Knight of Pushwood Media. Terry Carroll, TC here with you. If you want to call in and join in on the conversation, artists, you have any questions, this show is available to you. The number to call is area code 712-432-0075. Again, that's 712-432-0075. Access code is 885-995. Hey, you know what? Can you guys hear me real good? I know I got a little echo. I don't know if you guys got a little echo, but I'm working on that right now. But
no, I'm clear on my end. Everything is cool.
Okay, good. What you just said, Bruce, about Fred Hammond going independent. How does that affect the industry? Because you have a lot of mainstream artists that did have record labels that are going independent now. Does that change the plight for the independent artists out there that's coming up and that's trying to have a record, to come out with their own label? And I asked Troy that as well. In regards to
the reason why I think here's the deal. Before, you used to have individual artist deals or a P&D deal, meaning that they may press your music up and do the distribution, and then still somebody has to do the promotion and the marketing of it. Too often the artists think because they got a CD and that they've taken to radio, that's all they need to do. But there's so much more to the business of music. The business of music is relevant is by sales. And I've got an artist now who I got a gig on the Bobby Jones gospel. And he had recorded a project 2 years ago, mind you, had done a single, and he happened to be blessed to be on the Bobby Jones gospel. And when the deal went down, I happened to ask him, I said, well, do you have your music available online? Because, again, he had never pressed up the full CD. He did a single. But I said, if people hear this on BET, where can they go to buy it? iTunes, Rhapsody. I mean, if you go to iTunes or maybe even CD Baby, I mean, you can get some outlets of distribution where you don't require an outright distribution deal.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I mean, he didn't quite think far enough to be able to have this national exposure and at that time still have a product available for people to purchase. I mean, it's not enough to be on national TV with 280 million viewers and in 9 different countries and not have your product available for sale. That
Right.
is ludicrous.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's good stuff. Troy, you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. What you think about that?
I think see a lot of people who go independent, and of course, you know, and I'm for artists, established artists to go independent, and a lot of them go independent because they can do things at their own will. Second of all, the big thing is when they do an independent distribution they able to capitalize more money off of their own record sales versus $1 for each CD. They accumulate for 4 or 5.
Okay.
So most of it is math, and you know, just like we was talking about. With all these labels, if you sit back and look at it, there's the Eric Gordy's and Russell Simmons and all that kind of stuff we have in the industry. Mm-hmm. A lot of creative minds was ran record labels. Now all those creative minds left, and who did they sell it to? Business folks, and owned by business boards. Those people don't know anything about the music industry. But the creative minds are gone these days because they sold to business folks. So that becomes a problem because they're left to hire, and they make a bad mistake to hire artists to put them on as president and vice president. Of course, some of these major record labels have done that, and they don't know the industry because they know as an artist, and they put them on the board because they move units. Just because you move units don't mean you know the business. And I think those are a lot of mistakes a lot of these record labels do. So I encourage people to be independent. If you sign a label deal, and if you sign a label deal, make sure that label is established and able to do things for certain artists. And then when you have established labels, you have a good relationship. And just like people always say, the 360 deals came into the industry. Mm-hmm. The 360 deal is when you sign to a label, it's more of a partnership. A lot of people saying it's a bad thing before 360 deal, but it's not always a bad deal if you're not established. If you're not established and you sign a 360 deal, it makes the labels work. Because you as a regular record deal. As a regular record deal, they try to force you to go out there and get more shows and do what you got to do. But they looking more for a return on their investment when you don't know it, you're not known. So as an independent, you basically went from 50 shows a year to 100 shows a year because it's making the label work. And the labels are not making money like they used to because it's the digital. So the whole industry is hurting, but there are certain ways we can capitalize and make more, and more of it is having service providers, people in the gospel industry. We need more unity because time and time again, I try to build unity, and TC knows this.
Yes.
I try to build, and most of the people that I talk to in the major industry, when I call them, first thing I say, what can I do for you? Because I will never want them to think I want anything from them because I want to prove myself first. Because people can say anything. But people know my track record. They know I'm getting artists on BET. Well, I'm on the staff in the Soul Train Music Awards. I'm putting Christian artists, on major platform so the lost can know about what the kingdom is doing, what God is doing, and what we're about to do to change this whole music industry. So those are the things that I do and create. And, of course, then congratulate, the Dove Awards called me, and they put me on the staff. So these things, I think things are getting better. It's getting slowly, but it's getting better. And a lot of people is just sitting back going off of old information when there's new information out there. And the thing is going to turn because the people who want to make impact, they're going to call me and say, Troy, I heard what you said on the radio. Let's do this. And I believe in you because a lot of people have been hurt. Let's put away the hurt and let's do what God calls to do, and let's strive and build kingdom. Let's do what we do in the churches, and let's let the lost know what God is doing. Let's bring the unity together, and let's make global impact.
I know that's right. Wow. Well, Terry, what you got to say about that? He put it down.
Yes, he did. Well, I just want to know what both of them what kind of advice would you give a indie artist that's starting out now? Obviously, there's so much information that has to be decimated, so many things that you have to think about, so many things that you have to do. So what would be the first thing that you would tell somebody? I get a lot of people all the time with, I'm trying to break into the gospel industry. What should I do? I just get this open-ended question, so I'm going to give it to you guys. Well, how would you answer that question?
Troy?
I answer, well, and very importantly, it's different because because I tell each independent artist a different story because depending on who they are and what moves they make, they might be good, they might got the finances, or they're great with no finances, or there's a lot of things they could need to work on. So I kind of give each individual artist, because once they give me their material and everything they do, I kind of dissect and break everything down, because the last thing I want to do is give people the wrong information and they go on, because I think a lot of these conferences do give a lot of wrong information because it's old information, and like I said, everything's changes and evolves. So I think it's depending what artists and what they're doing, what kind of moves they're making, where they are, do they got local impact, or they know in a couple states. So I think every individual artist I give individual advice to.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce?
Well, I kind of tend to think along the similar lines in the sense that some artists want to come out and go national right out the bat. And there's too much country and too much territory and too many things that they're probably not going to be able to accomplish because, one, they don't have a budget, and most of the money that they invested in themselves maybe have done in the production and of the project. Mm-hmm. And then after that, then you still got to manufacture it. After you manufacture it, I had a cat that pressed up 30,000 CDs and said, okay, now what do I do now? But I listened to the CD and I said, well, you should have asked me that question before you pressed up all these CDs. You could have saved that money. You didn't press that. You said, I got a deal on pressing up 30,000. Yeah, you probably got a deal, but the only deal was that you lost money. Oh, wow. The only one that made money on this deal was the record manufacturing company.
The disc makers.
Yeah, right. I think people should approach it from, a more of a regionalized approach. You can't do the country all at one time. Do your hometown or a couple of states, regionalize it to the point where you can, penetrate a couple of markets and kind of expand from there.
And now, yeah.
That's an easier way of approaching it. Troy mentioned something about a 360 deal, and I think those kinds of things are optional, but too often people who have no money take that because of that. And again, that the 360 deal is something that encompasses where the record label will take proceeds from everything that you do. That means record sales, concert bookings, performances, merchandising, etc. And if you're willing to make that sacrifice, that's okay. But once they start taking all of your money, because you ain't making enough to really bring any home after you pay all of the things that they have contributed on your behalf, you will have learned a lesson that you wouldn't want to have to pay for. But other than that, find someone that can give you some. Again, everybody's trying to do their own thing, and we're at a point where collaborations is important at this point in time. There are some music conferences and things that tend to help to educate individuals into what they're doing. But I think first and foremost, as long as they have the understanding that everybody can't sing or play. I mean, if you're called to it and you've got the anointing to do so, then you're probably a little better off than those who just do it because they want to. Mm-hmm. They want to. And I think once you have that understanding that this is something that you can do, then you can probably better facilitate that and become a little bit more established. I mean, those individuals that have radio stations in the markets, the relationship with the music director, program director would help as a start. Or those individual announcers, that can give them some feedback about the material that they have. I mean, sometimes you may have to test it a little bit to kind of get a gist of, is this something that has enough commercial appeal to where people want to play it? Too often, artists will pick songs that aren't appealing to radio to the point where they couldn't get arrested trying to get this project played.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just
they
saying.
like it, but it's not commercially viable.
This is the jam. Okay, but it's the jam to you, but what about the rest of the world?
and your mama and them, and that's it.
Yeah, mama and them told me it was like, okay, well, I ain't trying to say they lied, but, you should have asked somebody in the industry or somebody that can give you some real feedback and not just encourage you to do something that you're not prepared to do.
Right.
Well,
what do y'all think about how can we get a centralized kind of entity going in the independent artist markets to steer artists in the right direction and show them, like, from A to Z, from the rooter to the tutor, exactly all of the things that need to be done and need to be considered. I mean, even before you begin, like you said, Bruce, you go out and you spend all this time in the studio and you press up 30,000 CDs and then, it's not mixed right, or, you flat on some parts. I mean, wow, we need to go back to the studio with you and you done press up all these CDs. I mean, how can we create something, like what record labels used to do in the old model? Record labels used to do A&R. They used to shape artists, and they ensured that these records, when they came out, they were on point. How can we put something together like that for the independent artist market?
Well, I think probably something. Go ahead, Troy.
I think the one thing that needs to take place is these artists attending these conferences and learning more about the industry. And I think a lot of service providers need to come together and just help the artists. Now, this is the idea that I had a couple of years ago. Okay, I do e-blast services, and I had a whole bunch of people to do e-blast services. I said, let's all come together. I developed a company called Indi Mogul. I said, us the service providers, we can build a lot of these artists because you had a database. I have a database. That person has a database. This person has a database. That person has a database. So once I got a lot of promoters together, I put all the figures together. We accumulated over 2 to 3 million, close to 2 to 3 million email addresses in our database. And I said, if we come together and pick certain artists, just sending out their albums and e-blasts, at least the people can see their face. Especially, we got to come to agreement that this artist is the next thing. This is the independent artist. And he's working hard. He's getting a lot of achievements in the industry, and I believe he belongs at the next level. And I believe if a lot of promoters, they can still do their job, keep their clients. But I believe if we all come together and do things, like the people who do a major award, if we all come together and do something. If the independent artists come together, not being out for their own appetites and desires, and supporting themselves, and not being able to not to just go on the shows because you're performing. Go and just support the other independent artists and then they don't realize when you go to these places, you're networking. They don't understand this. So I think if everybody collectively come and do their job, and the number one thing is one of the biggest things is the radio networks. Everybody know. I don't need to say the major network name is, but they all over the country they play the 5 same artists every day. And we have thousands and billions of artists that's frustrated because they know they deserve to be on those radio stations. And I think radio stations need to get it right. I think if we all collectively have a major conference with the service providers and say, look, this is what we got to do. Things got to change. And we got, because the secular world doesn't have no problem. Because they're putting on majors, they're packing out stadiums, they're doing this. So they don't have that problem. I think if the Christian industry band together and said, look, things got to change. These these independent artists, our next generation of artists, are frustrated because they can't get the radio play. And I think if what we got to do, we come together so we can have a voice. And once we have a voice, we will be heard, and we'll be the voice. And we'll be the voice not only in the gospel industry, we'll be the voice in this whole music industry. So I think if all of us collectively come together, not a bunch of sayers, but a bunch of doers, and doing what God called us to do, because if everything belongs to God, guess what? This music belongs to God. And everything we do belongs to God. And I think if we all collectively come together, we can make global impact.
I know that's right. Bruce Knight, what you got to say about that, sir?
Well, a couple of things. There are some organizations that are interested in helping people to understand more of the business of music, and starting with the basic things in order to really work on establishing their foundation. And it may be as simple as publishing, and how to copyright your material, how to get the right publishing company, and so forth. There's an organization called the Excellence in Christian Music Awards that is not so much an awards show in as much as it is an educational arm to help people to understand more of the business of music and giving them a foundation to really establish themselves with that understanding, so that when they build their organization, because again, it takes a little teamwork. I don't think that anyone can do everything by themselves. Too often you may have artists trying to represent themselves and do the things that they're doing because either they don't have the money or the wherewithal to do that. In some cases, some people should just kind of wait until they're better prepared in order to initiate the release of a project. I know a guy that decided to have a CD release event, and lo and behold, he didn't have any CDs to even give out at the event. So what was the point of having a CD release? Some people have CD release parties, and it's full of family and friends, but no media, no radio, no retail, none of that. And again, because the industry has changed so much, internet radio is kind of where the sensitivity to the independent artist is more pronounced than it is with terrestrial or commercial radio stations. Yeah. And so that's a better outlet, because they don't have the confines of what we won't play. In most cases, they're probably willing to play most things as long as the quality of the production is at a level to where they want to play it or are willing to play it.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that, because I get plenty of music, as you guys know, that I'm like, I just have to tell them you got to go back to the lab. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or trying to be
No,
facetious.
but you're being honest, and even that may be a little too general. You know, I mean, again, you can't critique everything all the time to the degree that, you need to, work on your pitch. You need to work on your I mean, there are things that could be described to help them identify with whatever their weakness is, so that they, at the end of the day, can at least know what they need to perfect and do so accordingly.
That's true. And that's why I say, too, I listen to it. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was going to say, I listen to a lot of stuff, and I tell them, see, the mix is not good in this. You got to be mastered. You flat right here, it's not full enough, It's certain things I do try to help them out as far as the sound of the product, because, basically, when you're on radio, man, not only are you bringing down your reputation, but you bring that radio station reputation down. They're like, man, you playing some garbage, man. I'm going to listen to something else.
Right. I mean, it's too easy for people to play things or for people to hear something that they don't like and tune them completely off.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, those stations that are playing those songs repetitiously, I don't even know why they think that because it's a hit and it's a top 15, that those are the only songs that they can play. Because at the end of the day, after you've heard that multiple times, it's a turn-off factor, and they're going to turn the dial.
Yes.
They're going to decide to play their iPod. Yes. They're going to decide to listen to satellite radio. They're going to decide to listen to internet radio. And at this point in time, there's so many more choices of what you can listen to in the medium of doing so they're doing themselves a disservice by playing those things over and over and over. That's just ludicrous.
That's real talk. Well, you just tuned in. Go ahead.
I think one of the things, like he was saying, the 30,000 CDs was pressed up. I think another thing, a lot of these independent artists, with their 30,000 CDs he pressed up, a lot of artists don't know how to spread out their budget. They don't know where to put the money, and they'll put so much money in one area and don't have no money for the next area. And I always tell artists, 80% of your success is marketing promotions. And once you got the CD pressed up and you can't send it nowhere, you blew all your money on different areas. And I think a lot of artists don't know where to cut areas, cut costs, and doing this and what to do. So I think a lot of these conferences, like the Extra Christian Music Awards, my friend Henry Harris, I'm a part of that, do promotions and everything.
Yes.
And Urban I keep saying it wrong. Urban Gospel Alliance conference, another great conference. Phil Carter and all. There's a whole lot of stuff that artists need to be a part of. These areas should be packed. Extra Christian Music Awards, you need to learn. Join only $100, and you get that education. Where you gonna get the education? And then you graduate. You learn about things, and then you know where you can go. But you're still gonna make mistakes, and you always keep learning. So I think the independent artists is so much to learn. So that's why they have people like us to teach the artists. And like right now, we giving out free information. These artists need to be writing it down and say, okay, cool, I'm glad I got that. Okay, I won't be making these mistakes. And they said we can work somewhere else. So I think a lot of artists need to do some studying. And then another thing, a lot of Christian artists, just because they do Christian music, they can't handle the criticism. And then they ask you what you think, and they get upset when you say, oh, it's not that good. Now, the world's going to be brutal. If you're trying to say, I'm trying to get out of the church, I want to take the word and go all over the world. I want it to be global. But guess what? The people out in the industry, secular world, they're brutal. They're going to tell you like it is, and they ain't going to be kind with it. They're going to be cussing and everything, slamming phones down and everything. But if you can't take no criticism in the Christian industry, you ain't going to handle it in the major market.
That's true. You got to have some tough skin. That's very true. Wow, that's good stuff. We just tuned in. You tuned in to the Basic Foundation Show again. Once again, TC here with you, along with Bruce Knight from Push It Media. Also, 3HP Records' own Troy Edwards. TC here with you, Terry Carroll. If you want to call in, you got any questions, artists, I know some people out there listening, of course. You want to call in, 712-432-0075. Again, that's 712-432-0075. Access code is 885-995. Again, it's 885-995. A lot of great information going forth out here. And you know what? That's the thing about it. I'm going back to what you said about the radio stations, but I think it's very true. I used to say when I was listening to radio, man, just as a fan of music, that, like, man, they're playing the same thing over and over again. There's much more music out here. So I thank God for the medium, if you will, of internet radio, because I know we're able to bring out artists and really, push them out there. I have a story, just a real brief story. My friend Albert Frazier, he has a video out now, and he has a CD. We was the first one to break him out on terrestrial radio, and now he's doing this thing all over the globe. So I know pretty much that, by us playing something different sometimes, I know even asking the program director, say, you know what, I think this artist should be in the rotation. This pretty hot artist, just putting a bug in their ear. I think that would help a lot of independent artists. What you everybody say about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, and one thing about it, I think a lot of the internet radio, they need to come together too, because like if you think of the secular world of Beyonce's and all them, when Beyonce's number one, she's number one all over the country. Mm-hmm. When Lil Wayne comes out, his album's number one. Justin Timberlake album comes out, it's number one all over the country. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the internet radio, this person's number one over here. Mm-hmm. He's not getting played over there. Mm-hmm. He's 200 there. Mm-hmm. And I think if you establish independent artists on the independent radio station, and this person is number one on 50 internet radio stations, I believe a lot of more movement and coming in is if the charts will be more, if the independent charts be more categorized and everything being the same, and this person number one, number two, number three here, maybe number four over there. I think if you come together, put the charts together, and I think we can make more impact.
I agree with that. What do you say about that, Bruce?
Well, I think in terms of making the impact, there is a process to that.
Okay.
And I think being able to One, as long as once you get past the fact that you've got a decently produced project, it's something that radio is willing to hear. And again, with the surgence of, at some point, radio is going to not be the major influence that it is today in the way that we know it, as far as commercial radio.
Right.
The internet has definitely taken over. You got automobile manufacturers that will probably not even have radios in their car in the distant future, or maybe the near future, for that matter.
Yes, sir.
The telephone has taken on a whole new thing in terms of media, be it pictures, be it radio, be it being able to link, being Wi-Fi sensitive, being able to connect to various radio components. And I think, again, internet radio is going to be where it's at for most exposure, most immediate exposure in how we have been doing what we've been doing as far as the emphasis on commercial radio. For those stations that are able to stay in business, and again, some of those stations that we're talking about, they're more so influenced by the money that they generate because advertising is what keeps them on the air. And too often that becomes the focal point, and the music ministry. It made me want to ask somebody, did you at a program director, do you even know Jesus? He said, yeah, I do, but this ain't got nothing to do with that. It's about the business. They're trying to keep a job and stay alive because things are becoming very competitive. If you look around, you've got programs that are suddenly a part of syndications. And, nothing taken away from a Tom Joyner, but he started something, and probably wasn't the first one to start it, but if you look around, there are certain stations to where the only people that you hear is Yolanda Adams, Cocoa Brother, and one or two other people, and there's no representation of the community. There's no personality. Back in the day, the radio individual announcers, were what was happening. But now you got one person who's heard all over the country at the same time, Steve Harvey, Cocoa Brother. I'm not taking anything away from them, but that's where radio is going, to the point where you got some stations don't even have announcers.
That's true. That's very true.
They just flip a switch and folks start talking, and then whatever you call it, voice tracked or whatever, and there's not a live body in the station.
That's very true. Wow. Well, Terry, what you got to say about that?
Well, I think I'm in a unique position as being an artist and being into the radio. And then what I see is actually the independent market and internet radio are indies too. I think in a way, it really, everybody is independent instead of coming together, because I think we could have a huge impact. Like Troy was saying, the service providers getting together and everybody's forte, whatever it is. Coming together and really teaching the artists what they need to be doing. Right now, at this point, artists have to do everything, and I think it's very, it's individual to each person. There's no one formula for everybody. You have to figure out, how you're going to do your radio service and how you're going to do your promotion, how you're going to brand yourself, how you're going to market it, the distribution, even studying about the different means that people are listening to radio on, listening to music on, like what Bruce just said, keeping up with the technology, just everything, figuring out how you're going to pay for the tour, all the stuff that you got to do. So I just think that it's just a very, very different market, and I think that in order to be successful as an independent artist, I think what a lot of artists need to do is first define success. Do you want to be, Janet Jackson, or are you satisfied with getting up every day and making $50,000 doing what you love, as opposed to going somewhere doing something that doesn't have anything to do with music and making $50,000? I think that's first of all what a lot of people need to find out. What do you even want? Because this industry is very different than what it once was, and many people still have the old model in mind. And it's just, I believe that it's just like Scripture says, those who stay in the race to the end are the ones who are going to gain the prize. Some of those artists are not even as particularly talented as others, but they're going to work harder. They're going to stay in the race. They're going to study. They're going to listen to calls like this. They're going to take notes. They're going to do the things that they need to do to make it happen for their ministry. And I think, that's just key, So it's a lot of factors involved, but I think the industry is constantly revolving, and I think if you're going to have any success in it, you gotta evolve with it too. Mm-hmm.
That's good stuff. You know what? I think what Troy said was very key. I think that the unity part of everything, because if you look at it, as Terry just said, we are independent. Whether you're, internet radio station, pretty much is considered an independent market as well. So if we look at the independent market as a whole, I think if we did come together, the independent market can thrive. Would you guys agree?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody is so independent-minded. Everybody wants to talk about let's put it together. But I believe if we would actually really do it, then we would be really a force to be reckoned with. And right now it's everybody out here willy-nilly. Some people having more successes than others. And then we have a lot of artists people who want to be artists that don't really know how to be artists. Again, the question that I had asked earlier about, glutting the market with a whole lot of under par stuff. It's not like, everything is at that level of excellence that it needs to be, And all of that needs to change, I think, to make the independent market have validity and to have respect, period.
And I think a lot of things that have changed the business of music to the point where the record business is the emphasis and the end result is to sell a CD. Now, granted that the sales of the CD has been a little diminished by the internet and the downloads to the point where you go from a full CD that may go for $12 to $15 down to a song of 99 cents. And you got to share that with whoever the provider is, and you may only get 70 cents out of that. So how many more single CDs do you have to sell compared to what the full CD was selling for? The other thing is the consumer market, or the consumer is the ones that you're trying to appeal to in order to buy your CD. Mm-hmm. And in today's gospel industry, to me, the consumer market is right in your church.
Yes.
And being able to comprehend that, I mean, you can't just do your church, but you could do a few churches or several churches, or to establish a relationship with the church pastor. And to be able to go to a church and not anticipate that he's going to give you $500 or $1,000 because you come and sing a song, although some of that may occur at some point in time. But one, you've got to be willing to make yourself familiar with those in the church. And at the end of the church service, if the pastor allows you to sell your CD in the lobby, for those that are sensitive to that, that's a way of generating some awareness. But again, people have to understand their market and know how to work the market. Everything is not going to be based upon radio. Well, we've already discussed and heard that radio is not everything. Mm-hmm. And there are some things that radio is not going to play. But hopefully, if you get up and you sing a song in front of the body of the church, they enjoy that song, they're going to want to take you home with them. So they buy a CD. I mean, everything is not going to be, and then at the rate that retail is going, where there used to be a neighborhood record store, it's been taken over by Walmart, Best Buy, and Target. And if you look in the record section, and I go in often enough to where I ain't seen a line in none of them in a long time of people standing in line to buy a CD. And then the selection process is even more disturbing because there's only certain ones that are there. There's only maybe 40 or 50 spaces for gospel music. You may see a lot more in secular or country or other genres, R&B or what have you, rap and hip-hop for sure. But in terms of gospel, it's a diminishing entity in those outlets. Basically, and then the problem with those, and the reason why some of the retail stores are going out of business, the wholesale price of a CD used to be somewhere around $10. And if you go in Walmart, you're going to see CDs in there for $8.99, $9.99 at most, which means that they're selling what used to be music at the wholesale price at what retailers used to buy at, and now the conglomerates are selling it at the same price because the profit margin to them, they're not looking to make a lot. I mean, they probably sell more other things than just music.
That's true.
You know, and so the industry, in terms of how people, get their music, in terms of the local music store, I mean, I feel sorry for them, but they're not going to be able to compete against the Walmart and the Kmart and the Best Buy and the Targets. So, and again, I mentioned, Troy mentioned something about what's his name, Timberlake. This cat has probably sold more. He's sold close to 1 million songs before the CD was ever released.
Yes, true.
Okay. His promo campaign looks so excellent, though.
But
I knew he was gonna sell a lot.
But was he okay? So promo campaign. Let's talk about that. He was on, I forget which show it was, but he was on one late night talk show 4, if not 5 days out of a week in one instance.
Wow.
And I mean, everybody can't do that, of course, but there are other means of doing that. And again, we're talking television. Television is another medium that most artists haven't even understood its impact, but it's far more than radio, unfortunately. In some cases, it's much more than radio. And again, Bobby Jones may only tape once a month, a year, but there's other regional programs, that are available. And again, television, having a video, to expand the awareness of your song, as opposed to just limiting it to airplay on the radio. Helps to increase the visibility and helps to improve your overall branding, as I've been saying all along. But having a radio, a CD and a video helps to, there are more things to accomplish where the combination of being able to be seen and heard are much more impactful than just a radio station, or whether internet, terrestrial, or syndicated or satellite playing it. And then, of course, radio is not just radio anymore. It's syndicated radio, it's terrestrial radio, it's internet radio, it's satellite radio.
That's true.
Those are the things that are available and that help to broaden the exposure medium and helps in the overall branding of that particular artist.
And definitely, and added to it, so many other outlets like, so many DJs who are to me presenters, DJs are the people that really are important as far as you being an artist and getting your song pushed out. You got podcasts, you got pirate radio, you got community radio, you got college radio. You got sync licensing where your stuff can be heard in elevators and on airplanes. It's just all kinds of things as far as putting your music somewhere. And again, I think it goes back to artists not really doing the homework and wanting to just get, in 5 minutes the answer on how to do a whole career and push, your music out there, instead of getting a mindset that this is something that you have to constantly be on top of. Like Troy is saying, we get a piece of information and we holding it for 5 years. You got to be constantly keeping your mind fresh on things that are going on in this industry and other outlets besides radio for your music, because there are many.
That's good stuff.
I think a lot of people need to do, of course, everybody knows on 3HP Records, so I think a lot of people who does, they're out in the public eye, that's doing things like me. I moved back to the DMV area. If a lot of people don't know, is D.C., Maryland, Virginia. I started the DMV Christian Music Awards. Another thing we're getting ready to open up the Powerhouse. We're doing youth concerts every third Friday, and we're just going to shut it down. We're bringing in the community, we're bringing in the streets and everything. We're bringing our youth in to come in to a free event. And so they get to know about the Lord and let people know that this music is not whack. I'm bringing the best the artists up there so we can continue to grow. I started 3HP Live. 3HP Live is something that a lot of people need to start in different areas all over the country. 3HP Live is a place where I give an artist a spotlight. If an artist is in another city, they want to bring their tour to 3HP Live. We provide a place for them to have an album release party, bring their tour, artist spotlight, plug, and all that stuff. I think if a lot of people will open their doors and allow these independent artists to come to this state, that also helps it grow. And artists call me all the time. I'm going to get down on the powerhouse. We are constantly putting artists on. Right now, we booking up artists like crazy for this powerhouse. We got the Youth Gospel Fest. We got opportunities of all these artists getting heard by thousands of people. And I think if a lot of places and a lot of people, service providers, come together and create platforms like I do, and we actually make things happen, like the 3HP Live. 3HP, we give our proceeds to 4 homeless shelters. Mm-hmm. We do things for Soup Kitchen. We do a whole lot of things in the community because they matter. And once you do things in the community, and I do a lot of things I see a lot of churches don't do. So instead of complaining about it, I do something about it. There's too many people complain about things, and I have opportunities, and I always look for volunteers if people want to become a part. And I let other people know mistake. These are things that you need to do to help the next generation of artists. Because if a lot of the young artists get upset and doing, they ain't getting no love in the gospel music, they're going to fall into the secular world. And I'm here to make a stand and say, no, I'm not going to allow that. Because if you want to come to Maryland, you got a home to do something. I'll let you know, we'll show you, and I'll take them around and do things with them and show them, like, this is what we constantly do. Anytime you want to come back, we want to do it. We're helping you build a fan base. And these are things that I do, my marketing promotions. I make it affordable. I don't set standards on. I ask for artists what can they afford. And then I take their money and put it in the right places. And I outdo what I called to do because I want to see this industry grow.
Mm-hmm. After the people.
Yeah, it took a lot of help with my future, the president Shanae, and I know TCC. Everybody that knows it, they see all over the social network just blazing and everything. So with her, she's been a tremendous help, and a lot of things wouldn't happen if you don't have a good staff and people to help you do what you call it, do, and see your vision.
I know that's right. Well, shouts out to Shanae as well, man. Man, this has been awesome, man. It's an awesome show thus far. And once again, artists. I want to hear from the artists as well. If you're listening out there, if you're an artist out there, we want to hear from you. If you have any questions for Bruce or Troy or myself or Terry, the number to call is area code 712-432-0075. Again, it's 712-432-0075. Access code is 885-995. Again, that's 885-995. Troy, you struck something, man, because you said community. And I think that's where our focus have been lost because, ministry is first. I believe in, even in the artistry of music, if you will. I think ministry, especially when you're speaking from a Christian term, music in itself is great. Getting your songs out there is great, but giving back to the community, I think, will help you, like you said, build a fan base, but also shows the ministry side of it, sincerity in the ministry, what you're doing. Would you guys agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I think a lot of churches needed. When I came here, I started a thing called Unity in the Community. I had all these churches. I said, you know what? We're gonna go to this park. It's in an area. It's about 20 different apartment complexes. And I said, what we're gonna do? We're gonna have all the people who don't know Christ and come out there. We're just gonna feed them, have a big cookout. And I said, y'all gonna commit to coming out and helping us? Yes. We getting yes all over the place. And then when it was time to do it, every single church that was involved didn't show up. So these are the things they don't want to go. They want to talk about going out there and talking to the kids on the streets when I gave them perfect opportunity. And then these people who's in the streets can see that churches came together to show their love, to come out there and feed them. All the people, all we did at the church, just bring some food. You got some ribs, you got some hot dogs, we just going to feed the people. And on that Sunday, because we're doing it on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. So when they come out there, we have pastors coming up giving the word. But it was a great idea. And, God gave it to me, the ultimate vision. But all these churches that want to say they want to do things, a lot of them, they don't. I'm not saying, and plus, I ain't going to take away because some churches do their own event, and I understand that. But don't commit to something that you're not going to help, because when we depend on you and other people lack because of your lack of your commitment.
So that's one of the first. If we talk about the frustrations of the industry, but we want to be a solution to the industry this evening, I think that's very frustrating, especially trying to do something ministry wise, and you giving people platforms to do things, and definitely they don't show up, especially with churches as well. So wow, that's off the chain. Well, Bruce, you got anything you want to add to that?
Well, I mean, unfortunately for that particular experience, and I know that outreach is all about building churches, and everything doesn't happen within the walls of the church. And outreach is the place going out into the community to spread the word of the Lord Jesus Christ in a way that those people who are not church lovers or really concerned about the church in the way that they should be. To me, that's kind of the way to go. I mean, I think it was an unfortunate, circumstance, but I don't think that outreach will never go away. I just think that it needs to be more of it. And the church itself, like I said, that to me is where everything is. The consumer, where you can learn more about the word, where you can gain some understanding aside from those worldly things that we're exposed to every day, and being in the position to encourage those participants. I mean, again, I don't think that it was something to totally give up on. It may have been a little confusing, and at the time that so much effort was put into something, and then for it not to fulfill its purpose. But that's kind of what happens when, I mean, again, faith in what we do and commitment in what we do. The devil is busy. And he will do anything and everything to keep us from doing what our purpose, to fulfilling our purpose. And there is some disenfranchised within the community as well as the church. And I think to that's why it's really important to stay prayed up. I mean, prayer is something that is underemphasized. I mean, and I think there is obviously a need to have more of it in order to overcome some of these things that have become obstacles that just need to be eradicated, and that's the most penetrating effort that anyone can do. And like I said, it just needs to be more of that. To participate in the business of music is one thing. To really have an understanding of what church's purpose is another thing. And not being able to have enough of a foundation to keep you from being discouraged from situations such as that, that would help to encourage you to overcome those things and not just let them overcome you. I mean, too often that's the work of the devil. And he's going to be happy with that result.
That's very true.
And I understand a lot of people get hurt in this industry, but just like with the churches and everything, it makes me stronger and strive even harder and work harder. I know people get upset because they get hurt and everything, but I just want to encourage people, when you get hurt, stay stronger, because remember, man said no, but God said yes.
I know that's right. Well, let me ask this as well, gentlemen. You guys gave some great things of the plight of the industry as far as, some of the frustrations. I think the number one thing as far as being a solution is unity. What other things you think you can think of that can better the industry as far as, independent market goes?
Well, I mean, the unity, the collaboration, I think, and the faith that the Lord wants more from us. And we have been discouraged by one means or another. But I think in terms of being able to get some results from your efforts, that would be enough to encourage one to continue on. Just like Troy said, I mean, there's things that may have occurred in one experience or another, but it doesn't mean quit. And you guys work a little bit harder, and sometimes that's easier said than done. And that's why I said to really work at, being prayed up and fasting and doing the things that would allow you to be a stronger servant, to overcome these things of the opposition and the devil to keep us, disenchanted. Where there's a lot of things within the industry that would definitely make us not want to be in this anymore. I mean, if you're into it for fame and to make money, that's the wrong reason. Because it's going to take a lot more time and a lot more effort and a lot more money in some ways than you're going to get from it. I mean, again, I think with most artists, the way to generate revenue, if to help fund your ministry, is by going into the church, and there's going to be some good experiences. Most of them, may not be as favorable as you want, but I think that's still the place to go. That's still the place that's going to generate, some kind of a following. And for those that you come by that don't work out, go someplace else. I mean, unfortunately, somewhere along the line, it's going to work out, and the Lord's going to bless you for your perseverance and your consistency and your tenacity. And, it will pay off.
Good stuff. Troy, what you got to say about that, sir?
Yeah, like I said, I think a lot of stuff all starts with unity and people just coming together, and businesses. And, like artists, they get upset because I tell artists that basically a record label is a bank, and an artist is an investment. And they realize they can't stay with that label all the time. People are like, yo, man, he left that guy on the label to let the people go. Once you're no longer an investment to a record label, that's why you're let go, because the simple fact is you're not into it to lose money. I understand if you believe in the artist so much, but I think in the gospel industry, we ain't no business to lose money at all. We might love and trust and bless and put money into an artist, but those artists get upset because they're let go. And once you're not an investment anymore, like I said, and people are like, wow, I never understand it. Like, I can see now why. I said, and that's the perfect term about record labels. They're a bank. You're an investment. Once you're no longer an investment, there's nothing against you, but we need income to keep furthering what God called us to do. And we love you and everything. We support you in everything that you do, but we're not in the place to be able to lose money, because a lot of the record labels and all that kind of stuff are a lot of record labels are hurting in finances. And everybody's looking for it. And then if A&Rs, like most A&Rs will let go. And the problem with the record labels, they started letting these A&Rs have other jobs and management and all that kind of stuff. Instead of them going out looking out for talent, they sit back and they run after you got 50 of them running after the same artist, versus having A&Rs going out there doing their job. And I think that's hurt. And then when a lot of the labels let go of their artist development, and then they only sign an established artist. And, so a lot of things, it makes sense, but it don't make sense because it's on the business side and the money side. But I keep things kingdom. I keep the kingdom business as a business side, and then the kingdom side. And then the kingdom business when it all comes together. And I continue to do what God called me to do. And that's why. And if I continue doing what God called me to do and being obedient, that's what, the doors are continually opening because I'm obedient to His word and what He's calling me to do. So I encourage the record labels and everybody to be obedient what God called them to do. Don't force it. Let God handle your ministry, because if He showed it to you, He gave it to you, He made promises, and He's not going to break them.
I know that's right.
Amen.
I know that's right. Break it down, brother. Okay. And you got Terry?
Well, I'm in agreement with what they're saying, Bruce and Troy, doing things in excellence. Let's respect the industry, and let's learn our industry, and let's do things in excellence, not raggedy, and have a mind of a servant, be first about God and ministry. Even though it is a business and there is a line, there's a fine line between it, you got to have a balancing act there. But if you're doing ministry, you need to really be doing ministry. TC, me and you were speaking about it earlier. I see a lot of artists promoting themselves, just constantly asking, buy my CD, never praying for nobody, never supporting anybody else, never even, a scripture on their page to show that you're supposed to be ministering gospel. What I see you doing is just trying to, push your media on people. So I think keeping it like what it is, making sure that you keeping God first in this thing and do things like God will want us to do them. And that's in excellence and just not being raggedy and just sometimes, I think Bruce said it earlier, sometimes, you don't need to release something right now if it's not right, Don't put stuff out that's not right. Don't put stuff out that's not how God will want it to be. He wants stuff done in excellence, and that's how we need to operate.
Yes, and I think you made a good point there because I tell God's Christian artists all the time, in the secular world, when these artists got 4 or 5 hits off of every album, you know why? Because in the secular world, they record 30 songs. They take the best 11 and put it on the album. A lot of Christian artists record 11 songs and put those 11 songs on the album versus trying to make the best album they can be to make impact and grow. And those are the things that's different why those artists, and a lot of Christian artists come out with one big hit single, and then they got a nice album, but then you waiting for the next album, and then that song is a hit, and that's it. So I think if we come and be better artists, and we be better A&Rs, and be better labels, I think collectively we can make some moves.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I think that's very, very good point that you brought out, and I think as getting back to the business of music, I think what the element is missing is today, and with a lot of independent labels, is the artist development.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is needed right now as far as the artist development, and we try to have some of the shows at least try kind of not really put a Band-Aid over the wound, if you will, but try to put some peroxide in there, make sure it heal up right. You know what I'm saying? So basically, we want to go ahead and let them know the artist development is very important. And Troy, I know you can touch on that because that's what you do, I believe.
Yes, I did artist development. And I actually did. I did some artist development, A&R, to all different genres. I did for a Christian rock label, and I did because a lot of people. It's not hard. It's not hard to know what good music is, and that's why I'm able to be universal because. If you got a good ear, I don't think everybody has a good ear for music. If you got a good ear for music, and that's all people want is good music. And that's what I tell the people. We can make impact because if the people don't know Christ, if you give them good music, they're going to listen to it. Look what Marvin said. You go into barbershops and brothers be singing it and all that kind of stuff. People still sing Shackles on My People Mary Mary because and a lot of people, they was playing in clubs. They didn't even know it was a gospel song. But for 5 minutes, people love good music. And I think if we continue and teach and educate these artists to keep giving good music, I think we can make a lot of things happen.
That's good stuff. I know that's right. Well, let me do this, gentlemen, because we're getting down to the end of the show. Bruce, I want to let everybody know what you got going on, sir, and let us know where we can find out more information about you.
Wow. Okay. Push Your Promotion and Marketing is on the. You can go to my website at push-itnews.com. Give a little bit of my background, show you some of the artists that I'm working with. It's a variety of new and established, up and coming and forthcoming. I've had somebody nominated for a Stellar Award for the last 6 years, or to win a Stellar Award, for that matter. I currently have my Twitter is Push It Marketing. If you want to do the Twitters or tweets, what have you. And my email address is push, PUSHIT news, NEWS at yahoo.com. If you want to reach me, we do consulting to assist those that have a desire to understand more of the business of music and or have finished product that they're looking to promote and market and to receive airplay. And we do consultations to help in that process to include promotion, marketing, distribution, and some bookings on television as well. So hit me up, go to the website, or give me a call at 313-207-5786, and we'll help you to do what you do better.
You know what? Let me get that number
All right.
again, man, because I was writing it down, man. My pen ran out.
313 is the area code 207-5786.
Thank you so much, sir. Troy Edwards, tell us a little bit about you, sir.
Yes, I'm Troy Edwards, owner of 3HP Records, marketing promotions, e-blast services, A&R. We started a PR services, and of course, everybody know I did the DMV Christian Music Awards. We got the Christian DJ and radio. We're actually doing a award show for strictly radio and DJs, because I think a lot of those people are not appreciated. So God put in my heart to develop a award show that honors the Christian DJs and the radio personalities and all that kind of stuff, because when you have these major award shows, there's only two categories for them people. So we're developing a lot of different things with the DMV Christian Music Awards, with the Powerhouse, the 3HP Live, with the Homeless Shelters and everything we do. We continue working with BET to get artists on major platforms. The Soul Train Music Awards, putting on platforms. The Dove Awards actually opening up a lot. They've been open, as you see, within the last year, they opened up a lot more for the urban market. So I'm continuing striving to make global impact through the sources that I have from the secular world to make global impact and expose what God is doing to the world. So those are things that we're doing, with my president, and I have my vice president. Scope is doing a phenomenal job. So right now I just got a tremendous staff with Shanae and my soon to be, and we're just gonna keep moving, and we're gonna keep working with a lot of people. And if there's companies out there just want to come together and say, Troy, I heard what you said. I just want to be a part of what you're doing, and I believe what God has led me to believe, see what you're doing. Let's come together and make some moves together.
Good stuff. Sir, you got a website we can check you out at, sir?
Yeah, 3hpnation.com. So that's my website. You can check me out. You can Twitter me at 3HP Records, and you can follow, chat, come and get back with me and all that kind of stuff, and my Facebook and all that kind of stuff. It's hard to find me on Facebook because I have 6 Facebook pages. They only allow 5,000, so hard to find which one I'm on. So I'm always checking the boss one. But I just encourage any artist that's here, and just keep striving what God calls you to do. Just keep striving and learn. Learn the industry. Call folks. Call me. Call everybody who's on this line and just learn. Go to these conferences. Find out. You can Google it. So I just want to encourage artists. Things are going to get better. And with the people that's on the line that have the same vision and seeing this industry grow, just let them know there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we're going to take it by storm.
I know that's right. Well, I got to say happy 15th anniversary for Terry Carroll's first release, her self-titled album. So I want to say happy 15th anniversary, if I can get my words together.
Thank you.
And tell us a little bit about Terry Carroll. What you got going on?
Well, as you mentioned, we got the 15th anniversary release commemorative collector's item of the Terry Carroll Project. Such a wonderful blessing that the album has had so much impact still. All of these years later, still have steady sales on our digital stores, and everybody is still loving the music and still doing dates on that album. So it's just a blessing. I thank God that He allowed me to be a part of something that has such a lasting impact. So we are working on the 15th anniversary, where it's going to be the Terry Carroll Project, but we're going to have some added things in, some nice little treats, and possibly a new single. So y'all just keep your eyes peeled on my Facebook page, Terry Carroll, and also at terrycarroll.com for all the latest information about that. And we also working on a 15th anniversary tour to go along with that. So y'all just keep up with me, and we'll keep you apprised of what's going on as things develop.
I know that's right. Good stuff. TC. Hey, this is TC, y'all. Y'all know me. JFJ Live Talk Radio. Basically, we have the Basic Foundation show. You know what's going on. JFJ Live Talk Radio. As well as we're working on a tour as well, radio tour for WOGS 103.9. We're looking to have some artists coming on. So I'll be talking to the people that's on this line as well about that individually, and really excited about that. Also, as well, we got a new show coming up called Life Cycle that we started as well. So actually, Selena is my good friend. She actually started that for me. We were talking about different issues about relationships, and it's really going to be awesome. It comes on every Wednesday at 8 p.m. right here on the Family Station, WOGS 103.9, so you can actually call in as well. And I'll be a part of that, helping her with that as well. And, man, I'm just really excited about what God is doing through WOGS. Thank you for 50 countries. The 50 countries out there. I can't shout all y'all out, but I know it's Russia. I know it's Venezuela, Brazil, the UK, Japan, down in Africa. I mean, everywhere. Thank y'all so much for listening to the station. We really definitely give y'all shots outs. And one day I'm going to sit down and actually go over the list and we're able to give y'all a shout out. But thank y'all so much for supporting the station all over the world. We are being heard all over the world as we speak right now. So we definitely appreciate everyone. Trust me, for supporting our show for so many years. And we are celebrating our 6-year anniversary this year as well right now this month. So we definitely thank you for keeping JFJ Live Talk Radio relevant and around and the demand for it. We definitely appreciate everybody. I heard that we were missed, and, and we got the emails and everything. And like I said, I do want to say this publicly once again. As everybody know, I lost my mother last year, so I appreciate everyone that supported us while we were on our hiatus from the show as well. Thank you so much for your prayers, your love, your comments. Mm-hmm. We definitely appreciate everybody. Definitely from the top and bottom of our heart, from our family, we thank you so much. Wow. Well, Basic Foundation show has been great.
Congratulations. Also, I forgot one more thing on my shout out. Y'all be looking out for Divas in Diego. I'm going to be ministering at the San Diego Fair June 22nd. So it's going to be more information also about that, hosted by Eric J. Chambers and the Jasper Network. So just be looking on Facebook page for that also.
I know that's right. Gentlemen, I definitely appreciate you guys once again. We got to do this again, man. We'll talk about some more issues as far as the industry, as far as helping the artists out. So, of course, you guys, my family, so I love you guys to come back on any time to, chat it up, man, and hopefully we help some artists out, man. We get some people to call in and ask questions, and, you guys be available to do that.
All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity, man. I appreciate what you do, and never mind being a source or a resource, for helping you to do what you do that much better and share that information and wisdom with those that listen to your show.
Appreciate that. Yes, sir. And Troy, we got to do it like we do it, man. So, yeah, definitely keep it locked right here on the Family Station. Thank y'all so much, gentlemen. Once again, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
That was my pleasure. My pleasure. So y'all be blessed, man, and I'm going to go ahead and end the show. Once again, we got the Balance of Love coming on, of course. We are going to be playing the show again on JFJ Live Talk Radio time. I think it'll probably be Wednesday or Thursday. We're going to replay it because I'm telling you, artists out there, if you missed it tonight, if you artists out there listening, spread the word. Say, hey, we're going to play it again. There's a lot of information that went forth this evening. And we definitely want you to, tune in. We definitely want you to tune in to the Basic Foundation show. I know we had to wait for a couple of weeks. We did replay future broadcasts. We're going to replay those as well. And we're also going to have a podcast for it, too, so I'm really excited about that. So we'll be sending out the link for that real soon as well for the podcast. So you can actually go back on the Basic Foundation website we're working on right now to go back and listen to a lot of the shows, even some of the older shows. A lot of the older shows have a lot of information as well that if you missed it, it's still relevant to this day. So we definitely appreciate everybody listening. Terry?
Yeah.
We're doing it again. Also, she has a Terry Care radio show as well. We'll be coming back real soon as well. So tell them a little bit about that real quick before we get out of here.
Terry Care radio show is a platform for independent gospel artists, and we're going to have a whole lot of people coming on very soon. We both had some things going on, but we are back up on and just looking forward to being able to showcase our independent gospel artists, not only gospel artists, but independent filmmakers as well. Another show that we have called the Music and Movie Showcase, and that's going to be for our brothers and sisters on the secular side of music, still clean, the secular side of music is, and film as well. So just looking forward to being able to be a blessing to our fellow artists, and we hope that you guys are tuning in and listening to the things that we got coming forth on the Basic Foundation show. I do have a lot of people always hitting me up for information, and this is the place, this is the time to do your listening and be writing your notes and finding out what's going on in the industry so you can keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on. Artists, do your homework. God bless y'all.
I know that's right. Well, with that said, we about to get out of the way. I always tell you, speak to yourselves in psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. Trust the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him. Let him direct your paths, and always remember that the loudest thing to speak to someone is your life. Be back with y'all on tomorrow at 12. Keep it locked right here on the Family Station, where we're taking limits off is WOGS 103.9.